Right. Good evening to all of you. Am I audible and visible? Can you confirm on the chat box whether I'm audible and visible? Right. Thank you. Right. So, good evening to all of you. Welcome to OCS at Nanaska. So, today it will be an introductory session where we take you through the course outline. Myself and Chanda sir will be joining in for the session. So, to get started, hold on. Right. So, myself and Mr. Chanda Gunawardana will guide you through the OCS course. So we'll be taking sessions interchangeably, and he will also join within another maybe after about an hour. He will also join and give you a briefing. So first of all, I'm sure most of you would be coming down from either the OTQ pathway or the FLP pathway, right? Either of it is actually not relevant in this scenario. Why? Because all of you will sit for the same case study exam in February 2024, right? So, those who have come through the FLP route, right? Those who are coming through the FLP route, it is critical that you develop yourselves in terms of especially the theory knowledge, right, that you ought to have to pass this exam. So to give you a quick overview of what we are going to do, what we have in store for you at Nanaska is, so we'll be starting off. So you will get a document called the pre-scene. Basically, information about a company, how it operates, the financials. You get the cash flow, balance sheet, income statement. You get the budget information. It's a holistic case study document. So our case study discussion will be based on this document. Will be based on this document, right? So this document, we call it the pre-scene, right? So we start off with a quick analysis on the pre-scene. Now, what is a pre-scene analysis? We go through the pre-scene, we develop, you develop, I develop, both of us together, right? Interactively, we come up with possible scenarios when you read through a particular page of the pre-scene. Okay, through this, what could be the examiner's thinking behind, let's say, costing? What could be the examiner's thinking behind sales? Can we introduce more sales channels? Right? What is our current value chain? Right? So it's going to be an interactive discussion when we do the analysis. So analysis part where we try to come up with as much as possible scenarios which the examiner can test you with on the exam day, right? Which the examiner can test you with on the exam day. Now that we call KYP, know your pre-scene, right? We call that KYP, know your pre-scene. So we are going to analyze the pre-scene in detail using the case study document given to us by SEMA. In addition to that, we offer you the KYP, which is know your pre-scene, a summarized form of the pre-scene where we have the key points of our discussion, of our analysis. Now that's about the first the first part we take you through, know your pre-C. The next, number 2, know your industry. Now, why should we look at the industry? Any answers? Why should we know about the industry our business is operating in? Now, for example, right, we are pretty much in the protein food segment. In at the broader view, we are in the food and beverage industry. Subset of it pretty much in the protein food category. Now we need to know about that industry also. Why is that? Why should we know about this industry? Any answers? Why can't you just face the exam by knowing only what is there in the pre-seen document which SEMA has given you? Why should we? What is the purpose of knowing the industry? Yeah. So basically, when you know the industry, it becomes easy for you to apply things, for you to convert content that is relevant to the industry, for you to come up with content that is relevant to the industry, for you to relate the question asked by the examiner in relation to the industry, right? But in at OCS level, we need to know the fair bit of the industry, but relative to MCS and SCS, management case study and the strategic case study, the composition, the amount of information you got to know regarding the industry is quite low, right? So we'll talk about how the case study looks like, the composition, how the where the majority of the questions would come from, to things like that in the preceding slides. But before that, we are going to look at a brief on the industry. Okay, what is the industry? Who are the key players? What are the challenges in the industry? What are the new trends in the industry? Right? And with this, we are going to look at a real world company that is very similar to our pre-seen company. We are going to take a real world company that is operating in the very similar context to our pre-seen company. Why do we do that? To familiarize you in the actual, in the practical, in the realistic context. Okay, how does the business operate? Right? So we give you an exercise where you got to do an analysis on their website, go to that company's website, Facebook, social media pages, be it Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, look at what sort of content they put, how they promote the products, what sort of offers they put, how is their user interface for the website, how is the user experience for the checkout process when it comes to adding goods, products to the cart, right? Is there any friction in any of those processes? So that is an exercise we give you where you get a real world taste of actually what our company is, right? Now that is very important. That makes life easy for you when it comes to coming up with recommendations, giving options to the examiner, right? Justifying your point, coming up with solutions to problems, business problems. Now that is why we need to know about the industry, because when you know about the industry, you can apply those information, those knowledge, those facts, those data that you have, right? Build a comprehensive answer. Now that is what is going to differentiate your answer at OCS especially, because if you read the examiner reports and contents, right, it's very little that people write about the industry at OCS, right? But it's going to add value to your answer. Trust me, it's going to add value to your answer. So we give you a separate document for that. We call it KYI, Know Your Industry. So from the Know Your Industry, our objective is that you get some insights about the industry, trends to use of data, use of technology, the new emerging trends in the food and beverage or the protein bar industry, right? Key players, competition, what is competition doing, the challenges, the pestle framework, all of it is covered in the Know Your Industry. So if that's not a document where you have to study, that's the next point which people mess up. Okay, you think, oh, I have to study this, and you just ignore it. No, nothing. You don't have to study. You just have to maybe go through about 5 or 6 times. That's more than enough. You're going to get the gist of it into your mind. Keep them at the back of your head. What you need to do is apply them, use them when you are answering mock papers, use them in your exam. Right? So we have a 5-step approach when answering exam questions. We will discuss it in class when we start writing mock papers. Right? All of it is going to be very critical. right? Because it's now not individual subjects that the examiner is testing from you. Examiner is testing whether you can apply the knowledge you got from those individual subjects into a business problem. How will you apply it? How will you get about it? What is the solution you're going to give? Things like that, right? So that is a critical aspect, a critical element, especially the industry. It's an element where most of the people ignore at operational case study, but we can't do that. We've got to have that hand in hand with our pre-scene analysis to get a wider understanding of the company, to get a comprehensive understanding of the company, so that our analysis we do, it's accurate, right? It may not be 100% accurate, because case study, it's about, you justifying your point, me justifying my point. There is no right and wrong answer, right? As long as you justify whatever arguments you put forward, you get the marks. Let's look at it. Number 3, we take you through the power mock and the financial mock. Financial mock is all the F1 related content. All the F1 related content will come under the financial mock. That will have your accounting standard, working capital management, investment in the short term, things like that. All the F1 related possible questions which the examiner can ask you at the exam is under the financial mock. Again, you don't have to attempt it. It's a reference material, right? You get the mock and the answer where you got to study, and it's for your reference. Then we give you the power mock. Now, power mock is, it covers all areas of E1, F1, and P1, right? The key areas where the examiner could test from E1, F1, P1 is covered under power mock. It's segregated into subject-wise, topic-wise, it is segregated. For example, if you say budgeting in P1, okay, what are the possible questions and the general guidelines and the answer points that has to be included when you are writing the answer? For example, let's say it's budgeting, right? The relevance of the current budgeting system, and what are the alternatives available to the company, right? Now that's there in the power mock under budgeting. Under P1, under budgeting, you will find a similar question. So basically, general questions from the key theory areas of E1, F1, P1 will be covered in the power mock, right? It's a rigorous mock paper, a quick review mock paper. Maybe it's going to help you the day before the exam also, where you could refresh and revise all the general things that are related to your E1, F1, P1 that could be related to our case study. That's about power mock, right? Okay, any questions up to this point? I've been talking for about 15 minutes now. I'm just taking you through what we have in store for you and what our plan is going to be over the course of the next 6 weeks, right? So far we've discussed 3 points: the pre-scene analysis, the industry analysis, and the power mock and the financial mock. So any questions with regards to the points we covered? Are we clear? If you are clear, can you say on the chat box that you are clear so that I can move forward? What about the others? Right, good. So then, the most important thing out of this lot is what we're going to discuss now. Any guesses? What is it? What is it? Mock exams. Mock exams. Right? So our mock exams are going to be the real exam paper you're going to get at the exam. It's going to be the same format, same structure, same way it's going to be marked, right? Everything is the same. So now why do we give you mock papers? 1, to familiarize you with the case study exam. 2, to cover whatever the possible areas the examiner could ask from you on the exam day, right? 3, for you to practice, right? Trust me, we give you 10 mock papers in addition to the power mock and the financial mock. In addition to the power mock and the financial mock, we do 10 mock papers. It's going to be a rigorous exercise, right? First mock paper we discuss with each other, we do in class. Second mock paper onwards, it's all up to you. We give you the paper, we upload it on the exam engine, you log into the engine, type it, it comes to us, we mark it for you, send it back to you. So out of the remaining 9 to 10 mocks, you get about 4 mocks where you have a one-to-one with us, right? Where we give you feedback how you need to improve in the coming, in the next mocks to where you have to face. So remember, reality mocks in exam engine or the mock paper practice is the most, I would say, out of this lot, it's the most critical element that you've got to cover. It's the most critical element that you've got to cover. Anyone who is doing below, let's say 6-7 mock papers, you sitting the exam, I don't recommend. We've seen people in the past not attempting mock papers, sitting for exams, failing. No point, don't go there, right? In under exam conditions, you've got to attempt a minimum of 6, 7, or 8 mock papers. Depending on your proficiency level, depending on your practice levels, at least 6 have to be done under exam conditions. So mock 1 we discuss in class, mock 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? You've got to do under exam conditions, a minimum of 6 mock papers. If not, just forget about passing. I have to tell you that also. Right? I have to tell you that also. Because this is all about practice. You just doing 1 or 2 mock papers and then going and sitting for the exam, that's not going to help you to pass whatsoever. No way. So we are going to give you a lot of practice. I'm going to be after you. You're going to be assigned to a team where you will be given mock deadlines, and there'll be a follow-up message, a follow-up with individual with all of you in terms of mock completions. Right? So because that is a critical thing that I myself personally monitor, and the team and the backend team at Nanaska who are working for OCS, they also monitor this. So you will be assigned to a particular WhatsApp group. There will be a team leader from Nanaska. He will be following up with you in terms of mock paper status. You've got to complete it in time, get them marked, have the one-to-ones, keep improving. So mock, when we talk about mocks, it's all about what? It's all about continuous improvement. You might have heard of this concept, a Japanese production concept called Kaizen, or continuous improvement. You won't be scoring 70 marks in mock paper 2 or 3. You'll start with 20 marks. You'll start with 30 marks. No problem. That's fine. But the most important thing is, what are the learnings? Where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong, which I should avoid in mock paper 3? What did I miss in mock 2 that I need to correct in mock 3? Was my typing speed the problem? If so, take 3 days, type at a stretch, capture your words per minute, capture your WPM, improve it, attempt mock 3, you're going to get at least 10 or 15 marks above what you got for mock 2. Now, that is what I encourage. You have to critically analyze yourself. Right? Critically analyze yourself when it comes to exam preparation, when it comes to doing mock papers. I alone can't make you pass. There has to be a lot of commitment from your end too. So when we are doing mock papers, especially, our team will also follow up with you. You yourself have to critically evaluate yourself. We give you feedback. That's true. Right? You yourself need to critically evaluate. Okay, why did I go wrong? Did I find problem with timing? Did I find problem with typing? Did I find problem with my theory knowledge? Right? Did I find problems with application? Now that is critical evaluation of yourself, right? See where you stand, map it. This is where I am. This is where I want to go. Map your proficiency level, right? And take the game on. Work towards continuous improvement. That's the only advice I give when it comes to mock papers, right? Because as we go on, by mock 6, 7, 8, you'll be a perfect person when it comes to answering and facing mock paper. So the exam day will just be another mock paper for you in that case, if you properly do the work, right? So the objective is your exam paper should just be another mock paper for you. Now, how can that be? You have to do your mocks timely, get it marked, work on your weak areas, And the tagline is continuous improvement. Tagline is continuous improvement. Okay, we learn about these concepts. Why not apply it in our daily life? Right? Why not apply it in our studies? Right? It does not apply only to production. It applies at every aspect of life, even when it comes to education. Apply them. Right? That's going to take you to where you want to be when it comes to passing the exam. Right? So I spend a lot of time on mock papers to give you the insight as to how critical that is going to be. That is what is going to prepare yourself for the exam. That is what is going to give you confidence to face the exam. Right? Then we go about the ground rules where you've got to follow when it comes to operational case study. The deep dive. Now, this is the detailed version of Know Your Prezi. Right? Detailed version of Know Your Prezi. It will have reference to the theory. It will have reference to the scenarios. Right? Possible questions based on particular parts of the Prezi. So we analyze the Prezi in detail in class. That will be given in a detailed documental format to you. We call it deep dive. You dive deep into the Prezi and you identify the questions, you identify the possible scenarios, things like that. And then another important thing, refresh theory. Now, how many of you can say I am confident with my E1, F1, P1 knowledge? How many of you can say that? Anyone who cannot say that? I'm okay. I'm quite confident. I'm okay, right? With my E1, F1, P1 knowledge, I think I can manage with the knowledge I have for operational case study. So anyone who can say that, okay, let's forget about who can say that. Those who say I feel like I've got to refresh, I've got to revise my theory again, I've got to relook at it, I've got to revisit the theory and develop myself. Those who say so, I'm sure most of you fall into the second category, right? So I'll talk when we talk about the composition of the case study, you will understand the level of theory you got to know. So this is again critical. You've got to know your E1, you've got to know your F1, you've got to know your P1, right? Because at OCS, proficiency levels for your theory should be high compared to MCS and SCS. Then industry experts, we get you some insights along with the discussion of the KYI. One-to-one discussions, I already told you that when you do mock papers, you get a one-to-one after you get the marks, and then possible issues and revisions. So probable questions the examiner can ask you, we cover it in three areas: power mock and the financial mock, the 10 mock papers you get to attempt, possible issues, we give a separate document called possible issues. So it is covered under three areas: possible issues document, 10 mock papers. 10 mock papers means each mock paper will have 4 sections. So you will be told, simply looking at about, let's say, if each section had 2 scenarios, right? So each paper will have about 7 to 8 scenarios. 10 papers is about easily 60 to 70 scenarios. Possible issues also under separate areas, we give you possible questions the examiner could ask. And then power mock and financial mock in brief gives you the possible areas. So trust me, we are going to cover about 90 to 95% that's going to come up on the exam. That has been the case so far, right? And I'm sure it will be the case in the February session as well. So we've been able to accurately work around 90 to 95% of the questions that have been come up at the exam. We've discussed all of it in class. If you can look at our testimonials, you can talk to our students and see whether this is true or false. Right? Based on my experience, I'm telling you this. We've been successfully anticipating 90 to 95% of what comes up on the exam paper. Right? Our students are a testament to that, and you can easily talk to them and see whether it's true or false. I mean, we can't go wrong, right? I mean, can we omit forecasting anything the examiner could ask when we look at about 70 to 80 scenarios from 10 mock papers? Then separate possible issues document. Then in our pre-scene analysis, we will be discussing separately. Then we give you a power mock, financial mock to all of it. It's very difficult for us to, it will be very difficult for the examiner to ask something out of the box, out of what we have discussed. It will relate to somewhere during our discussion if you look at the exam paper. So that has been the quality of our course, right? That's how it has been so far, right? So we've maintained that quality, we've maintained that standard, right? I'm sure even for the Feb session, we are already up for it. All the planning is done and we are there to help you out, right? So that's about our course outline in brief as to what we have in store for you for the February case study season. Right. Any questions up to this point? I'll give you 2 minutes. You can ask any question if you want. If you are clear, just quickly type it on the chat box. You are clear so that I can move on. Any questions, guys? Or it could be even something that you want to clarify. Please ask. I'll give you 2 minutes. Super. What about the others? Are we clear? Or if you have any question, you can ask. Nice. Right. So then just to give you a heads up, this is how a present analysis looks like. Right. So our case study this time will be around personal best. What is personal best doing? It is manufacturing protein products, protein bars, protein powders, right? So it's into that broadly F&B segment, and within that a subset under the protein food category, protein food industry, right? So this is a snapshot from the KYP, from the present analysis that we will offer you, right? Then the industry analysis, right? The market, the product. We'll start off with the product. What is the product? The ingredients. What does it look like? What are the various forms of the product? Protein shakes, powders, bars, biscuits, many different forms of protein products, but we are mainly into protein bars and protein powder. Few new products like biscuits are in the pipeline. You can find that when you read the pricing. How our sales is structured, the market growth rates, the compound annual growth rates, the challenges in the market, in the industry, right? Opportunities in the industry, use of big data in the industry, right? Then areas to improve in the industry, key players, competitive landscape. We look at a real world company. Yeah, I've given you a screenshot of that as well. We look at a real world company. We have Nestle, we have Kellogg's, we have Vam Valley's Foods, different brands to name, right? So you get about a week or so before we really start our sessions, right? With case study and with the present analysis. Why not just Google uh, some of these companies and see, okay, how do they work? Look at some videos in YouTube, their manufacturing processes, how they sell, what the customers say about these products, where these products are used, where these products are sold. Just get some feel about it. Now that's what's going to make you ready, right? Make you, give you some boost, give you some familiarization to start off our analysis, right? So if you have time, I know this is the holiday season and everyone is occupied, I understand, totally fine, right? Just when you get some time, just do some YouTubing, googling, and see what are these companies. Just familiarize yourself with that, right? Now that's what we have in offer for you in terms of the know your pre know your industry, and the real world applications we're going to talk about. So you go to these companies' websites, social media sites, look at their apps, right? Download them, look at their user interface. What are the areas to improve? If we develop an app, how can we get those features in? Right now, if you have done that, if the examiner asks you, okay, look here, now we are going to introduce an app for our customers. What should be the key inclusions in the app? Now, if you had gone through their e-commerce platforms to whatnot, you know the features. It could be a home page, a product comparison page, pricing, an offer for promotions, right? An offer for, let's say, a page where it has links to industry data, to the health data of that particular product. If it's protein bars, how much of protein in it, how much of fat in it, to things like that, how much of calories, things like that, right? All of it. Then we come to a case study overview, which is an operational case study overview, right? As I told you, for you to pass this exam, the critical success factors that I could name for you to pass this exam are what? Your theory. Now, why do I say theory? Can you see here? 65% of the questions you get. Now, this is not a very specific number based on the analysis I have done on the past papers, based on the past examiner questions only. I have just decided on a hypothetical figure. This may change, it's subjective, but easily I could say 60 to 70% of your paper you can do it easily if you know your theory. If you know your theory, E1, F1, and P1. That's huge. 60 to 70% is huge. It's more than a huge majority. Right? So if you know your theory subjects, E1, F1, P1, you are good to pass. Right? But if you have problems with those, don't worry, we have the refresh theory sessions to help you out. If you have problems with those, we have the refresh theory sessions to help you out. End of the day, our objective is, be it OTQ, be it FLP, you face the same exam, you need to have the same level of competency. So our task is, our objective is to build you to that level. Even FLP student to the level of OTQ student, where you have the required theory knowledge to do this exam paper. Right? So don't underestimate the importance of your theory. If you are stuck, if you think you have to revise yourself, start today. Start today. Start working on E1, F1, P1. Right? Because without theory, I mean, I have to tell you the truth, right? Without knowing the theory, very difficult for you to pass this exam. Extremely difficult. So don't go there. Familiarize yourself with the theory, and the balance 35% is about applications, which you will easily come across, develop when you do the mock papers. Right? So you'll be 100% complete pie chart when you do at least 8 or 9 mock papers. Right? Don't worry about it. So it's my responsibility to take you to that level. So you need to support me, have that level of dedication and commitment to reach that level. Myself and the team who are working with OCS for Nanaska will definitely help you out to go there. So I wanted to show here, what I wanted to show here is the importance, the emphasis on theory. Right? Okay, some might think, okay, this is case study. Why do you need a lot of theory? You need a theory. Examiner will not ask the theory from you. But if you don't know the theory, you can't answer these questions. Right? There is a level of application that you've got to know, but there is a much level of theoretical knowledge that you've got to have to answer some questions. For example, linear programming. Examiner will not ask you to do a linear programming chart on the exam. He will give you a chart. Ask you, what is the optimal production plan? What is the shadow price if there is an additional amount of materials available? How much should I produce? Now, can you answer that without knowing the theory? Can you answer that without knowing the theory? No. Right? Now that's where the catch is. So some might think, okay, this is case study, why do you want theory? You need theory. Right? From that theory only you come to the application, right? Edit the content that matches personal best industrial landscape, and then present your answer. Then give your answer as a superb quality output. Right? So for you to do that, your 70% theory, you've got to be solid with it. The balance 30%, you will automatically get it through when we do through practice, especially when we do the mock papers. Now, out of that 70% of theory, can you see the E1, F1, P1 breakdown? So where is the majority coming from? So where is the majority of theory questions coming from? Where is it coming from? Yeah? Where is it coming from? P1, right? It's coming down from P1, then F1, then E1, right? Majority of your theory questions. So if you take that 70%, if I take that 70% out and break that 70%, majority of it will be coming from your P1. Be it budgeting, be it costing, be it break-even analysis, be it linear programming, be it risk, right? Be it the CGMA cost transformation model, be it variance analysis, right? Operational variances, the advanced variances, right? So it will be a whole lot of areas, especially coming from your P1. Then F1. F1, you will have your all your accounting standards that are relevant. So what are the accounting standards relevant for F1? Anyone who can, what are the accounting standards for F1? I'm trying to list them down. You have IAS 16. What is IAS 16? What is IAS 16? The most common standard of all time. What's IAS 16? Property, plant and equipment. Very good. IAS 2. IAS 2. Inventory. Very good. IAS 36. What is IAS 36? Anyone? IAS 36. What is it about? It's about impairment, right? Then you have IAS 10, events after the reporting date. IFRS 16, very important. You will definitely get a question. What is IFRS 16? What does IFRS 16 talk about? What is the standard? Leases, very good. Then IFRS 5. What does IFRS 5 talk about? Assets held for sale and discontinued operations. Then IAS 7 is your statement of cash flows. Right, so those are the critical standards that you've got to know. You have to have the knowledge of all these standards. Only these standards, nothing else. These standards take some time. Make sure you are competent. You have the relevant knowledge. You know how it is accounted for, right? Then in terms of E1, you will have your KPIs, shared service centers, right? Then website analytics. Then you will have especially the e-commerce aspects, right? Website, e-commerce apps, things like that. Stakeholder management, supply relationship management, stakeholder relationship management, collaboration, right? Team, things like that. Those will be coming down from your E1 areas. So majority again coming out of the 60 to 70% theory, majority from your P1. I told you the key areas. Then you have F1. You've got to know all the relevant accounting standards that are in the F1 syllabus. Then E1, right? Blend everything together. You have your application part, which is about 30% of your case study. So if you take your case study exam paper, 70% of it for you to, you've got to have this theory knowledge. You've got to have this theory knowledge. So we'll have separate sessions for E1, F1, P1 to run you through, to refresh you through the key theory areas. So you've got to, now that's just a source of help for you to recap things. You also got to start working on your own to make sure you are competent with the theory, especially E1, F1, P1, right? So did everybody understand the importance of your theory by looking at this? Did everybody understand how important your theory is for, especially the operational case study when it comes to, uh, you know, answering the paper? Very good. It's critical, right? If I am to rate it, the knowledge of your theory, E1, F1, P1 is critical for you to pass. 70% of the case study, 60 to 70% is coming from that. So might as well you prepare yourself, start now. Right? Okay, how many weeks do you have for your exam? How many weeks do you have for your exam? How many weeks do you have for your exam? about 7 weeks. Yeah, about 7 weeks. It will be on the 7th to 9th of February will be your exams. 7th to 9th of February will be your exams. So might as well start now. These 6 weeks are going to fly. These 6 weeks are going to fly, right? So first 2 weeks we'll be talking about the pre-scene analysis, starting from next week. Then from the third week straight away we move on to mock papers, right? We just try to get a feel of how the exam is going to be. Then we review mock papers in class. You get your marks individually. You get feedbacks individually. So all of it is going to happen. FLP access not yet received. I think you have to check that with our backend team. Let me tell Vatsala, check with Vatsala on that. So you try to make sure you give a strong follow up to get the FLP access as soon as possible. As soon as possible, right? Because if it clashes with the case study schedule, right, that's going to be a problem. Your only problem is you're not going to have enough time and you're not going to have enough knowledge for you to apply to the case study because you haven't done your modules. You don't know what's there in E1, F1, P1, right? The three theory subjects. Yeah. So don't delay too much. I know there's a problem with SEMA UK also when it comes to the delay from their end when it comes to giving FLP access. So I'll also follow up from my end whatever that could be done. You also on a daily basis follow up with the institute, get it sorted as soon as possible, right? So have a target. Maybe first second week of January you need to be done with your competencies. You need to be done with your modules, right? That's when, okay, you know what's going to be there in E1, F1, P1. You know about it. Apply that into your case study, because if you go beyond that, you need to have at least 4 to 5 weeks for case study only. So get done with your FLP subject before that, so that you have enough time to focus on your case study application. So then the mock papers, I told you about it. Words per minute is on your typing. The pre-scene know-how is the KYP, which I've spoken about. And finally, the possible issues. So these are the critical success factors for you to pass your exam. And I've given you an insight on how what the composition of the exam is going to be like. So now it's up to you to prepare yourself for that task, for that challenge, right? Easily 60 to 70% of your question paper, if you don't know your theory, you're going to find it difficult, right? The balance 30% is what we're going to learn in our analysis part, in our discussions, and especially when you practice mock papers. And finally, we give you a study plan where there is a practice mocks timeline. The class schedule will be shared with you by next week. One-to-one sessions after you complete the mock papers and the feedback sessions. So this is all what we have in store for you for the Feb 2024 case study season, right? So any questions on our discussion so far? So I'm hoping to see all of you in class. Before that, we have Mr. Chandagunardhan also joining us, and he will take you through a little bit before we wind up. So before we go to that discussion, any questions from the areas that we just discussed? If you are clear, you can say that you are clear. Or anything apart from this, if you have anything to clarify with regards to OCS, please ask. Right. Great. What about the others? Super. Right. So then I'll see you in class. You will be added to our WhatsApp group also when the registration is done. So we'll have all the communications will be posted through that, and you will be informed of the class schedule within the course of the next week. Yeah, sir. Chana sir, it's over to you.
Thank you. So, hi guys. I hope you can see me and hear me. Just say yes. Looks like good. Okay. So, just to give a very brief, right? I won't take a lot of time, but just to give a very brief. SEMA has changed a lot over the years. Long time ago, when I was doing SEMA, It was a typical management accounting qualification. SEMA was mostly concentrating on typical management accounting years ago. So when I did after my A levels, I started to do chartered accountants of Sri Lanka. We used to call it Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. I used to do Chartered Institute exams, and I started doing SEMA both together. When I started to do both these exams together, I realized there are many different common topics available in the chartered accountancy and the SEMA syllabus, but things were viewed very differently by chartered accountancy and SEMA. They were looked at very different eyes. They were looked at through very different eyes. Chartered accountancy was mostly looking at whether you can do a calculation. SEMA was looking at mostly whether you can do some basic calculations and whether you can interpret it, whether you understand it. So this was the difference that I have seen even then, long years ago, when SEMA was pushing for proper management accounting qualification, global management accounting qualification. Since then, SEMA has changed a lot. Today, if you look at the exams, or rather after 2010, after 2015, things change a lot. Things change a lot. So there was a time where SEMA said, no calculations in any of your exams hereafter. That was surprising. No calculations in any of your exams hereafter. That was surprising. The lecturers who were teaching financial accounting, they got a surprise because SEMA said there will not be final accounts that needs to be done on the exam day hereafter. The lecturers who were teaching financial accounting were very unhappy because SEMA said hereafter no final account needs to be done on the exam day, because those days on the exam day, very first question for 1.5 hours, very first question for 1.5 hours was doing a profit and loss account and the balance sheet for a company. On the exam day, they give so much of details, you need to pick the details and do a profit and loss account and balance sheet. That was the first question for 1.5 hours. SEMA said there will not be questions like that. So it was a huge change where SEMA removed all the calculations. All the calculations were removed. So today, if you genuinely look at, my dear friends, SEMA is no more a management accounting qualification. SEMA is not trying to build a better CFO. SEMA is not. SEMA is trying to build a better CEO with a finance background. That's what SEMA is all about now. That's what SEMA is all about now. So you might not see, because you have seen only one side of the world, you have seen the new exam systems, where the questions are not related to calculations. We are not worried about whether you have in-depth analysis knowledge on the financial accounting. We are trying to test whether you understand the basics. The questions are very much practical questions on the exam day, but you need to have some basic understanding on financial accounting. That is why I call it SEMA is now trying to build a CEO with a finance background. I mean, other side of the question is how can you be a CEO if you don't have a finance background? You can't. Very difficult. I have worked with many CEOs who are not having a finance background. Generally, it becomes difficult because in today's world, it will become very difficult because any public listed company, any board of directors will include non-executive directors from a finance background. So you should be able to understand what these non-executive directors are talking about. They are from finance background. Always it's easier for a CEO if he got a reasonable knowledge on finance. He need not do SEMA, but he need to do a reasonable knowledge on finance. So we have seen over the years, the CFOs will get a better chance to be a CEO if you are a balanced CFO. If you are a balanced CFO, rather than HR person being CEO, rather than marketing person being a CEO, rather than supply chain person being a CEO, rather than production person being a CEO, you have a better chance. As finance guys. So that's what SEMA is pushing hard. That's what SEMA is pushing hard. So now things are very different. So I'm sure Mr. Mark went through with you. I'm sure our admin team also must have briefed. So there are paths available like FLP where you need to do only 3 case studies. Set rest of the exams, 9 theory exam papers, 3 papers each level. Operational level, 3 theory papers. Management level, 3 theory papers. Strategic level, 3 theory papers. 3 levels, each level 3 papers. 9 papers you can do on the self-assessment. You can do on the self-assessment. So now what you need to realize is self-assessment is not an exam. Some people try to think self-assessment is an exam and try to worry too much. No, it's not. So you got to find a shortcut to do it faster. You're not going to, because when you do come for the case study, when you do come for the case study, we will certainly teach you all the theories that is available. We will certainly teach you all the theories available. So I don't teach much for OCS, but I'm sure you will see me very soon for MCS. I'm sure you will see me very soon for SCS. When I teach MCS, I teach E2, P2, F2 again. When I teach SCS, I teach E3, P3, F3 again. So critical areas we will cover. Therefore, self-assessment is self-assessment, not an exam. Game is to find a way to get a shortcut to finish it faster. Come for OCS, we will teach you the key theories there. So objective of SEMA is very different. Objective of SEMA is very different. So SEMA got merged with AICPA. SEMA got merged with, if you Google it, you will be able to get a lot of details. SEMA got merged with AICPA, with the American Institute. So therefore now it goes as a combined UK SEMA, USA American Institute from USA, AICPA. These two got consolidated to build a larger entity for the world. All right. SEMA's objective is to build a CEO with a nice, reasonably strong finance background. So what is Nanaska? What is Nanaska? Nanaska is, I mean, our objectives are fairly different. We don't want to, all what we want to do is we want to get a manageable number of students, give them a supportive service and ensure they pass. Ensure they pass. It happens reasonably well for OCS, MCS, SCS. I don't think it happens very well for the theory subjects still. We need to improve there. But OCS, MCS, SCS, we do a perfect job. A lot of people come in, a lot of people do a lot of work, and a lot of people got through. So OCS, MCS, SCS, without doubt, I can say we provide a perfect service, perfect requirements, perfect things that you need to pass are given. So our objective is the same. Our objective is to get a reasonable number of students and give, I mean, make them better professionals. So if you come to the latter part of SEMA, maybe middle of MCS, we talked about a lot of other things other than passing SEMA. We talked about how to get jobs. We talked about how you live a better life. We have a program. I do a program called Your Life is Your Life. So that's how you look at how you live happily, how you make people around you happily. We believe in those things. We believe in they will have a added advantage because we don't want to do pass the exams only. We want you to be a better professional, better human being. So that's what SEMA, that's what Nanaska is all about. So let's work together. Let's work together. So OCS is interesting case study. So it's a 3-hour paper, 4 different sections. Each section is for 45 minutes. Nice pre-scene is available for you all to go through. So always November and February pre-scene are the same. May and August pre-scene are the same, right? So you will be able to kind of take the advantage of it and start going through. But doing mocks is absolutely critical. Doing mocks is absolutely critical because you can't. I mean, you don't have practice otherwise. You can't plan how I will do the mocks. You got to do the mocks and see reality is very different to what you plan it to be. So doing mocks is very critical, and we'll give enough mock papers when you join. I want you to have that in mind. So always be in touch. I would like to welcome all of you all to Nanaska. please do register ASAP. Send an email to info@nanaska.com. Now itself, register. Get added to the WhatsApp group so we can get the ball rolling. So do the registration ASAP. Whenever you want to contact me on anything, my number is there. No 777 398 996. Just send me a WhatsApp message. Then I will try to help you with anything. It might be related to SEMA. It might be related to Nanaska. It might be related to your office. Well, we can have a chat and see how I can be of help for you. So, guys, thank you very much. All the very best for your SEMA journey. It's a long journey, it's a very fruitful journey. If you get it right, I'm sure you will. You can end up having a life that you can certainly be proud of because we at with Nanaska we give a lot of other things other than passing exams. So trust me, as you go on, all of them will be very very useful. So my name is Shanna Gunawardhana. I'm attached to SEMA because I was a student, I was a lecturer, uh, and I'm on the SEMA Global Council in London. So UK SEMA Global Council is there. So that has members all over the world which govern SEMA. So I'm a member of the SEMA Global Council for a period of 3 years. So I'll be ending my period soon. I work as I'm the director CEO at Dankudu Porcelain PLC, public listed company Dankudu Porcelain. I'm sure you know tableware, porcelain tableware. I work as a director CEO. So when I teach, I mostly talked about what was my journey being a financial assistant to director of Dankudu Porcelain because that's the exact uh, same journey that you can go better. You might ended up better. You might reach the same level much faster. Thank you very much, guys. All the very best. My number is there. Whenever you need to contact me on anything, you should just send me a WhatsApp message. Good night. Goodbye. Good night, guys. Goodbye. You can send me a message at any time, whenever you need. Take care. Bye. Bye. Thank you for joining. Bye.